Hey y'all, welcome back to Redtastic, and thanks for being here in 2026. Today we're reading some more Reddit stories from Am I the A-hole subreddit. If you enjoy Redtastic content, consider subscribing and let's begin. Story 1. Am I the a-hole for telling my dad that if something happens to him and his wife, I wouldn't take my half-sister? My 26 female's mom passed away a few years ago. During that time, we discovered that my dad had been cheating on her with a girl my age. His whole family disowned him and cut contact with him, except for me. I guess at that time, I wasn't ready to let go of both my parents at the same time. But over these last 5 years, I've been able to gradually let go to the point I only see them, twice or thrice a month. It's like I have no family left. Don't get me wrong, I also blame the girl for what happened, but the responsibility towards my mom and me was my dad's, not hers. They eventually had my half-sister, 4 female, and for what I've heard and know, my dad and his wife are living paycheck by paycheck on a budget and in a rental home since everyone in the family changed the will. Both my grandparents and my dad didn't get the house because it was an eventual inheritance from my grandparents, but since she died first, I'm the sole benefactor from both sides since my parental grandparents skipped my dad. Now, 2 days ago, I went to visit him because it was his birthday, and he said he and his wife wanted to talk to me. I was like, okay. They said that they wanted me to be the legal guardian of my half-sister in case something happened to them, mainly because I'll have the means for it. My dad's wife's parents are able to care for her, but to an extent only, and that I'll have the needed money to take care of an innocent child. I said no, not for the money, but because I just don't want to. I'm not close to my sister, and currently I don't see nor want myself taking care of a child, much less the reminiscent of my mom's last heartbreak. I said that I was willing to pass a monthly check, like a child support payment, but less than that since she's not my kid. But that was the only thing I was willing to do. My dad cried, saying that she was his baby, and I was able to be a good sister like I was raised to. But I just laughed and said that he was no one to talk about goods and wrong, and he and his wife should have thought of that before cheating. His wife called me a monster and kicked me out of the house. I left. Later that night, I sent my dad a text informing him of my decision of cutting ties with him completely, and that from now on will be no contact, unless it's an emergency. He's been begging me to reconsider, but I don't know if I'm right or wrong. Edit. His wife is 26, my dad is 50. As far as I know, he's not having health problems at the moment, but I know my paternal side of the family is diabetic and has heart problems. You're not the a-hole, OP. Your dad and stepmom are the a-holes here. They're asking you to take care of your stepsister, whom you have no real relationship with and only see about 2 or 3 times a month. The only reason your father is asking this of you is because he knows you can financially support them. That's essentially asking you to provide for and care for a child you didn't even give birth to. A child who, nonetheless, is a reminder of your father's infidelity. You are absolutely not the a-hole in this situation. The fact that you even considered offering some financial help is incredibly generous. Now for some comments. Not the a-hole. Looking past the fact that your dad was cheating in your mother's final moments, he's an a-hole. He's trying to put the responsibility onto you and using you. See how you only talk to him twice or thrice a month? He comes to see you because he wants a favor. You don't need to take care of that child at all. Not the a-hole. You taking on that daughter of his could also mean having to take care of the wife in his absence. They might have seen you as a means to get hands on your grandparents' inheritance, no contact for sure. You had solid reasons. You kept contact as long as you could. That wife of your dad's was nice to you until she realized she could not use you. They have to reap what they sowed. not your responsibility to carry on their mess for them. Not the a-hole at all. I seriously hate situations like this though, because the child didn't ask to be the product of infidelity. Ultimately, she's the one who suffers. It doesn't make any of this your responsibility, nor does it make you the a-hole. I just wish grown-ass adults, dad and his wife, would consider things like this before bringing a child into a shitty situation. I hope that someone eventually is able to step up and give her a loving home if her parents pass. Expecting you to do it is a gross overstep on their part though. Story 2. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to keep our finances together after I observed my husband's patterns regarding money? I, 40 female, and my husband, 42 male, are married 14 years and we come from a country where the husbands are still seen as providers. And we were originally not the typical family to share expenses 50-50. When we first married, we both earned exactly the same and we both would spend the whole salary on mortgage, renovating our flat, and while living with mother-in-law and brother-in-law 90% of household expenses. Then we moved to a European country for his job because he said he dreamed of a career. I gave up my career and couldn't work in the new country because I had to learn the language, and attended classes and trainings all the time before our daughter was born. So husband was the only breadwinner. Also, when I was pregnant, brother-in-law asked my husband for money and he basically gave him our savings, $2,500, without consulting with me. And I knew he would anyways do it. And I would anyway not say no. Edit, this was 10 years ago. During this time, my husband also got his driving license. We were learning together for it. So he did his license and by the time I should do it, he gave the money to brother-in-law. So I had to choose either to drop it or make a stop. I chose to do it later, but better times never came. Also, mother-in-law 55 female quit her job and we support her the last 14 years. Brother-in-law is unemployed the last 12 years and my husband supports him. I never had a say there because it is his family and his money. But I have a feeling he wanted me to join his efforts supporting his family, and if I didn't block him, we would end up supporting a much more better lifestyle for mother-in-law and brother-in-law. My husband suggested multiple times we take mother-in-law and brother-in-law on our family vacation on our costs. During our time together, I was the one asking him to please try to plan our budget, instead of just spending money until it's all gone around 20th each month, and try to save. He never gave it a thought and just brushed me off each time. When our daughter was 12 months, edited 10 years ago, I could find a job for 6 months and started working in my area. I would pay 75% of my salary for childcare, which equaled our rent plus grocery. During the 6 months I worked, I didn't spend a single dollar on myself. Instead, when his mother asked him to finance her trip to Italy, he did it without even asking what I think about it. My husband demanded from the very beginning that I give the employer his account details so that they transfer my salary to his account. I straight said no, and he tried to intimidate me, shouting at me to do it. I said no. My point was that it's still our family money. I never spent anything from that account on me, so I suggested that maybe we can keep it as a saving and still spend it on us. And I made a transfer whenever he would tell me the main account is gone. I need to replenish every month basically. All accounts were on his name, and although I had a duplicate card to his account, I didn't have access to reports or online banking and never knew the balance. I couldn't do any transfers on my own too, so I was never given full control. As soon as I started working, my husband's spending became more inconsiderate and reckless, like eating out, buying stuff, and he would complain that we need more money, so I transfer him all of my salary. Whenever we visited our home country, we would stay with mother-in-law and spend 3 times more time as with my parents, and we would spend 10 times more on his relatives, taking them to restaurants, buying grocery, organizing dinners, etc. And he would get very defensive if I expressed an opinion that we could avoid some dinners or opt for cheaper options. And he was like, of course, we spend more on my family because I am the husband and my family is more important than yours. Also, when making decisions when, how much and on what to spend, his decision was the final one. There have been cases I could ban, but there have also been times he wouldn't consult me or do the spending even when I told him not to. Fast forward to these days, I had to spend another 3 years to study. He was again the breadwinner, and when I started working again, same story. Husband demands I give him my salary. I again said no. We separated finances. So when we visited home country this time, I transferred him my whole salary. He took his, and during the month there, we were visiting only his relatives, his family and friends. I didn't buy anything for me. I didn't spend anything for me individually. And he was very generous with his relatives to treat them and would get angry whenever I asked him to spend less and didn't give a shit. When we were back, I had a thought that maybe it's unfair I financed him to treat his relatives and asked him if he would mind giving me back some money. He can decide himself how much he finds fair to be given back. He got extremely angry and insulted that I don't want to spend money on treating his relatives and just sent me to go to hell. I got angry and stopped transferring him money for family expenses, basically telling him I no longer cooperate until he agrees to talk to me and find a fair sum he finds appropriate to return to me. He calls me an a-hole for this. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to continue sharing our finances in a situation where I have no influence on decisions and spending style? Is my anger and behavior justified? Should I equally take part in financing visits and dinners for my husband's family when I don't spend anything on my family because we don't invite and not visit them? You're not the a-hole, OP. You are absolutely not the a-hole here. Your husband is. Your husband is a user and a terrible partner in marriage. He makes decisions without consulting you, asks you to hand over your entire salary so he can spend it without your permission or even your input, and tells you that his family is more important than yours. All of these are horrible traits in a partner. I would advise you to leave this man. I truly believe you would do much better without him. Culture or not, a kind partner wouldn't treat you this way. You would have planned your life and future by now, I'm sure, if he wasn't such a major hindrance to you. Leave the marriage, OP. You deserve far more respect than this. Now for some comments. Don't give him a dime. Why is your family less important than his regardless of your culture? Your family is just as important. He's a mooch and a leech, divorce and take him for everything. He doesn't have because he spent it all. I understand your culture supports parents, but there is no reason he should be supporting his brother that's capable of working, not the a-hole. I didn't even have to read the whole thing, not the a-hole. Absolutely insist on separate finances. At most, a 3-bank account situation. Yours, mine, ours. The ours account is paid into by both and is used to pay joint expenses. I foolishly combined finances entirely with my abusive ex, and that just allowed him to financially abuse me and keep all of our money when I finally got the courage to leave him. I literally won't ever be able to afford to retire because I had to start over with $0 at age 35, and I won't be able to come back from that financial hit. Not the a-hole, and no, you should not keep giving all your financial power to your husband. Talk to your employer, HR, and make sure all money goes into your account only. Change banks and don't give your husband any account info. See a lawyer and take steps to get out of this indentured servant marriage. Refuse to transfer any money to your husband. If he runs out of money, he'll need to stop spending. Use the backbone you used to write this post to respond to the pressure he exerts on you. Don't back down. You keep all your money. He doesn't get to decide whether he gives any back. Don't give it to him in the first place. You can do this. Story 3. Am I the a-hole for not giving my stepdaughter an inheritance? My 32 female's husband passed away earlier this year. Our children, 6 female, 3 male, and I inherited his entire estate. which in total is worth almost $1 million. When he was in high school, my husband had a child, 16 female, with his girlfriend at that time. He broke up with his girlfriend once he found out she was pregnant, saying he wasn't ready to be a father yet. He visited her maybe once every few years when he was alive. My stepdaughter and her mother are very poor. They have struggled financially ever since my husband's death, as they no longer receive child support. They are struggling to pay rent and risk getting evicted. My stepdaughter reached out to me begging for her share of the inheritance. I feel bad for her, but my husband clearly stated in his will that he wanted to leave his estate to me and my children only. I barely even know my stepdaughter, and I don't think it's my responsibility to take care of her. She is furious with me, calling me a heartless gold digger, and saying that giving her money was the least I could do to make up for years of neglect. Am I the a-hole? Now for some comments. You're the a-hole. Most places in the US will side with the daughter and her mother, at a minimum for 2 years more of child support. OP is about to likely and justifiably lose more than that when the kid takes her to court. Or she can take the easy, moral and likely cheaper route and cut her a check for about 1/4 of the full inheritance. You're the a-hole. Your husband was major the a-hole, had a child and basically acted like she did not exist. Of course he would not put her in his will. But you know she is his child. You know she is struggling. There is no reason, with the amount of money you received, that you could not help her out. First of all, by continuing said child support until she is 18 or finished college. You could also put some in a trust fund for his stepdaughter. Do you have to help her? Legally, no. But if you can sleep at night knowing you have funds to help her, but you choose not to, then you are no better than your husband was. First off, I'm sorry for your loss, but you're the a-hole. She might be your stepdaughter who you don't really know, but she is your husband's child. You should at least give her the equivalent of what your husband would have paid in child support, since he would have had to pay until she was 18. Honestly, I'm not even gonna go into the fact that it seems like he abandoned his child. It may not be your direct responsibility, but the right thing to do is to help your stepdaughter out, because she and her mom are clearly struggling. Who knows, maybe you two will develop a good relationship.